Allah created our noses in such a way that if there's danger, we're probably going to pick it up.
Yeah.
And that the lack of an aversion to materials that are harsh and end up being toxic is something I think is socialized. Mysore sandalwood,
Yeah.
which is a beautiful, sublime substance. And yeah, it just when it comes to the prayer and when it comes to dhikr, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's something to be said about scent. The Prophet ﷺ was always scented. Right? When he walked past, there was a silage.
Right? He had his own scent.
Yes, absolutely, but he always took care also to be scented. It is a discernible part of Sunnah, similar to the miswak, similar to the emphasis that he placed on using the tooth stick to keep the mouth clean.
You know, you brought up a very good point, which is actually is very significant to me personally in my life, because I'm very sensitive to like synthetic smells. So what you mentioned is that how the Prophet is our like ultimate example of what we're supposed to be like. Right?
Absolutely.
So I'd be sitting in the mosque and someone would come with these roll-ons and he'd like, you know, just stick your hand out as if you're about to get like an injection or something. They go like
Here it comes.
They go like this with those roll-on things, and it's like you just destroyed my prayer. I can't pray. I can't think. I'm about to choke. You know, because like so these things are properly toxic. You know, like. And I actually, I was probably very rude, you know, I told the Imam of the mosque, the Imam himself, in my new masjid in Istanbul, he was going around scenting people with this stuff. I said, please, you know, excuse me, I don't want to have that on my skin. He was so like taken aback, like, why would you refuse my fragrance? This is Sunnah. And I said, actually, that's not Sunnah. That's what the French companies and conglomerates have duped us into buying as an ummah, as fragrance. That's not what our fragrance is supposed to be. It's actually carcinogenic and hepatotoxic. You know, it kills your liver. To have that on your skin, it goes right into your liver. And then people that don't have like very good detoxification predispositions genetically, they can just die from that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same. There's many documentaries about the toxicity of these things, and I forgot the name. It's like Stink or something like this. It's on YouTube. You can see it.
I see.
The most expensive fragrances in the world, I won't name any brands or anything, contain exactly the same ingredients that you can find in like Clorox and bleach.
Wow.
Exactly. You just said it yourself now. We just had this bottle brought in. Like, why does everything have limonene and geraniol and hydroxycitronol?
Yes, there's certain components that seem to be. I don't know if it's a legal requirement or what. It's just on all of the labels. But definitely paying attention, and so anything that is there in the Sunnah, anything that is pleasing to Allah, is worth our paying attention to. You know, and then it's especially since coming on at Zaza.Haus, it's really, you know, opened the world of getting an insight into the world of fragrance and the industry of fragrance as it has evolved in the 19th into the 20th century. And there's a lot of carelessness. You know, there's a lot of carelessness and a lot of taking things for granted where the materials are concerned. One of the things that seems to stand out to me though is that you are guided by the aesthetic. That if something, like Allah created our noses in such a way that if there's danger, we're probably going to pick it up.
Yeah.
And that the lack of an aversion to materials that are harsh and end up being toxic is something I think is socialized. You know, it's the way that society has been moving in the 19th and 20th century. Produced a bluntness or an inability to perceive these things properly. I think it's natural for you to be put off by certain harsh.
But it's like we've been institutionalized into believing that this is fragrance. Anytime you were talking before we started recording, you were talking about this symposium in New York City or something. And you said that there's all these perfumers from the West going to Dubai talking about oud and so forth.
Right. And now finding out about oud.
If you look at their perfumes, I mean, it's like the most toxic things you can possibly imagine. Like any of these perfumes that are, and you see these. You're talking about reviewers, I believe, right?
Correct. The gathering was a gathering of reviewers, perfume reviewers on YouTube.
See, there's no bigger enemies, according to me, right? What I think, no bigger enemies to the fragrance lover out there in the world than these reviewers, because they institutionalize synthetics as the aromatic of choice in the world. It's like they make us into these lab rats. You know, for every new release, they send a free bottle to the reviewer. He has a 30-minute spiel of, you know, like, oh, it opens like this, and then I get cumin and patchouli and this. Right? It's all garbage, right? And people are like, wow, he likes it. You know, I must wear it. The fragrance sector in the market is so far behind the food and beverage, and even the like house cleaning agents, like these cleaning agents, soaps, and these are way ahead of the fragrance industry. So
yes, the fragrance industry does seem to have managed to insulate itself kind of under everyone's nose.
kind of like chemotherapy. And it's like they have all these natural cures for cancer, but they want you to use chemo. You know, it's like the same thing with fragrance.
Yeah.
You buy even bleach nowadays. These natural alternatives to like
yes, it's bicarbonate.
And you see, like, fragrance-free is one of the selling points.
Yes.
You're supposed to use this in your house because it contains no fragrance. Yeah. That should tell you what fragrance is.
Yeah, there are lots of chemicals that are even harmful to the environment when they accumulate in large quantities.
You can't flush the stuff down the toilet because the fish will die. So what's happening to you when you put it on your skin? I don't understand that. I would tell our viewers to beware of these people.
And especially there are lots of perfumers, because when I look at some of the content, you know, there are some perfumers who just maintain. One person I heard saying that I mean, it's not an issue even if all of the naturals get replaced by synthetics. It's just one for one. You know, you're replacing one with the other, and I thought that was an astounding statement to make, because your nose doesn't verify that. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't similarities between an isolate and the natural, but to say that one is an exact drop-in for the other, when there is a clear absence, there's a clear emptiness with the synthetics as opposed to the naturals, coming from a perfumer, is astounding.
Well, forget the absence and the emptiness, talk about the harm. Emptiness is just like this artistic, you know, like aesthetic lack, right? Yeah. But you're actually killing your children.
Well, I guess part of the point that I'm making is those two things are not independent, right? There are hints, there are signs in things, so that those things which are empty, and your nose can pick up that there's an emptiness there, there's likely to be harm behind that.
Yeah. Now imagine if someone came out from the food industry and said the same thing. He said we can actually replace all of the natural food ingredients with synthetics. Yeah, why would people differentiate? You know, why would they say, no, I'm not going to eat that? Well, you're eating it through your skin.
Right.
Why? I mean, why don't they make the connection? I don't understand.
Even I was reading that much of the perception of taste is owed to the scent receptors that we have in the upper part of the nasal cavity. But I suppose it's a cultural thing, right? We just don't look at scent the same way that we look at taste. We don't look at fragrance the same way that we look at food. When in fact there's a lot of similarity, there's a lot of crossover.
It happened to me just like this Sunday. I was going out with my family in Istanbul, right? And I before we went out, I found this box of chocolates right in the kitchen countertop, and I couldn't resist the urge. I just opened it. And it looked like these nice little round balls with coconut powder on top and stuff. So I just ate one. I just stopped. I felt like I was eating perfume. I said, well, this is like somebody really overdid the fragrance enhancers, the flavor enhancers in this chocolate, because it's like some of the ingredients are shared between the flavoring
Yes,
world
absolutely.
and the fragrance world.
Yes,
So you got stuff that's flowers that's used to flavor food. But I felt like I was eating my own perfumes, and I said, this is a bit over the top, But then the insulin receptors started to respond and want more of this stuff. Right? So I said, why don't I try another one?
Some of the crossover is natural, right? So with citrus, we eat the oranges and we appreciate the smell. At the same time, I found out that civet is actually used for vanilla flavoring. So some of the products that we're eating actually have the civet paste in it.
Doesn't get any more natural than that.
So yeah, there is that possibility. But we should pay attention to these things, I think. And an educated Muslim, indeed an educated gentleman, just generally speaking, if we can still use that word in this age, gentlemen, should pay attention to these things. It's part of refinement, it's part of giving the body its right, it's part of giving the neighbor their right, and it's part of giving the earth that we're living on her right as well.
If we still have an earth left, I don't know if we have anything. I want to show you the string of beads.
Well, I'm assuming this isn't red buffalo horn.
No. This is buffalo horn.